Well, the news overnight was that the price of rice is expected to decline very sharply before the end of 2017. And we have less than 90 days for that to happen. So that's what the federal government says, and it's in the news this morning. I'm trying to find out how this is going to happen, if anyone has any idea. Adimo Kwesa is here for the second time this week. We're going to talk about food, commodities locally, and what to bring in from the outside. Good morning.
Good morning, Wilson.
I'm sure you read this in the news.
I sure did,
yes. So how is this likely going to happen?
Well, I think it is possible, to be honest with you. The federal government has really made an effort to increase local rice production, I think from 2 million metric tons in 2015 to 4 million metric tons in 2017 years. So that is about 100% increase. So it's actually possible that the price of rice would come down sharply before the end of the year. I think the price of rice is, for a 50 kg bag, is about 15,000 naira. I remember it feels like almost a decade ago when the price of rice was 5,000 naira. 5,000,
6,000. Exactly. Like a decade ago, 3,000 naira.
Exactly. So we actually need, price is arguably the most consumed commodity by every class, low income, high income, middle income. So it's actually very good if, it would actually be very good if the price of rice comes down drastically. So
what's been the problem here? We're still bringing in rice anyway.
Yes.
Yes. Well, so what I saw in the news this morning is that we're still looking at maybe 6,000, maybe 9,000, single digit. I've always angled for a single digit.
Yes, that's the aim. I think they said they want to bring it down to 6,000 naira. We have to look out for that. Maybe that is actually too ambitious. But like you said, I think 9,000 naira is more reasonable. If that represents about a 50% decline, so that is still good. And I think the main why the price of rice is still extremely high is because most farmers smuggle the product to exporting countries, and we need to curb that. If that doesn't end, we'll still have the
local rice producers
smuggle to neighboring countries because it's more
for export.
Exactly, because it's more profitable to sell their rice in Benin, Ivory Coast, Chad than Nigeria, because the euro, the CFA is pegged to the euro, so it's more attractive than the weaker naira. Exactly, yes.
Interesting development. But again, if you look at where we are globally speaking, let's step out there a little bit and see what our prices are right now. A number of these products are feedstock for pastries, for whatever we have here.
Exactly.
So whether it is wheat, corn, cocoa, and sugar. If you look at cocoa, for example, the West African neighbors, Ghana and Ivory Coast, have been having quite some issues in terms of their output and how they sell them out. Yes,
but I think the two countries have tried to form a collaboration, have tried to form a consensus because, like you said, Ivory Coast and Ghana, they account for about 60% of global cocoa production. So they are the major players in the market. So I think the two countries have come together to form like a cartel, let's say form like a storage, a buffer stock to be able to influence prices. And if they do that, that means the outlook for cocoa prices is really upbeat for 2018. I think prices have declined drastically from the highs of $2,500 to a metric ton in 2015. They are flirting with $2,000 now, but they're still a reasonable
$2,000. That is $2,082. So it's a lot of money for a metric ton of cocoa.
Yes, exactly. And cocoa is our largest known oil export. So
and there's still room for demand.
Yes.
I don't hear much about what we produce in terms of cocoa locally.
Yes, I think we still have a long way to go. Our our capacity can still increase significantly. But so I think we're number 6, number 7 highest cocoa producer in the world now.
So Ghana and Ivory Coast still hold the ace, as it were.
Yes, exactly. But the fundamentals are in a favor. I think supply should decline in 2018, and demand also is forecast to increase.
Well, why would demand of cocoa go up? We have more mouths to drink chocolate or with chocolate.
I think the chocolate is still a very attractive. People love chocolates wherever, and the festive season, I think Valentine's season, that's a common gift to give your special partner. So that demand will always be there.
So whatever it is, cocoa is still a major product, even though I don't want to go there. Some folks will get, because we export these raw materials I'm looking at on television. Yes. I spent some of my boyhood days or childhood days on a cocoa farm. so I know how difficult it is to process those things manually and using your bare hands to bring out the seeds from the pod and all of that and crack them open and what have you on the farm. Not so easy. Then I have to go spend dollars to bring in chocolate from Switzerland or whatever, from London. I've stopped buying chocolates from out there, and that's a disclosure.
For health reasons?
No, not necessarily for health reasons. I'm just beginning to feel a little bit, maybe I'm getting too old for that, to think that, look, I'm going to spend dollars to bring in chocolate back into Nigeria when I produce the cocoa here in Nigeria and in Africa, and we don't do much of beneficiation.
I think we should start doing cocoa processing here to get more value from the product, actually. We should start investing in...
What does it really take to produce chocolate?
It's complicated, a lot of processes.
It shouldn't be complicated. I'm sure the engineering, the technical, whatever production process and the machinery are as old as a century.
Well, we're still way back compared to developed markets.
Okay, let's look at sugar. Sugar prices are down on nearly 2%. Where is this supply from? Mexico or is it Brazil?
Brazil, Mexico, Asian countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, those are the major sugar producers. But I think for Nigeria, sugar prices are trending low, and that is very good for Nigeria because we import raw sugar. We don't import refined sugar, but we import raw sugar. I think a major development happened on September 30th. The EU scrapped production quotas for sugar, so that would obviously increase sugar production drastically and depress prices drastically. So that is a very good thing for Nigeria because we import raw sugar.
And that goes into almost everything that we consume.
Yes, the highest consumption of sugar is from our soft drinks, Coke, Fanta. So sugar is used for almost everything.
Cakes and other pastries and other things. Let's look at corn. Does it have anything really significant in here?
Yeah, we import wheat and corn, not major, but we still import products. And it's also good for Nigeria because prices are also coming down too. I think this is the harvest season in the US and Russia and the Ukraine, which are all major grain producers.
So by the time these products get here, they don't look cheap on the shelf. Trust me.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Because what gets here oftentimes are finished ones that are canned, whatever.
Yes.
By the time it gets onto the shelf and you check the prices, they don't seem to reflect the fact that we're seeing these prices globally on the field, where they're coming from, North America, Asia, and reflecting back here. So it looks like this consumption end of it all isn't really look good for our post. So we need to do something there, don't you?
Maybe we need to start producing all those grains
Sweet
here
corn.
too. Yes, but interestingly too, we produce soybeans. We produce soybeans in Nigeria, in the Middle Belt region, like Niger State, and the prices for that commodity is rising. I think there's this sense that soybean is healthier, is more nutritious for the consumer. Have you ever tried soy milk with your tea or coffee? It's more nutritious, even more tastier than normal milk. So I think this sense that commodity is the healthier option.
And we produce corn here. Whether you call it maize or corn, as they want to call it in America or whatever, it's corn.
Yes.
So, and we use this for various local food products.
Yes.
Whichever way, from the north, east, south, and west. So do we still really need to fork out so much in millions of dollars to bring in packaged sweet corn? Well, that seems to be nice for fried rice.
Yes, it is very nice indeed. But I think the government has really made effort to produce all these through its Anchor Borers program. Farmers are producing commodities like cashew nuts, corn, groundnuts, maize, millet. So the hope is that in a couple of years we'll be self-sufficient in these commodities and we won't need to rely on imports.
If you look at the agri prices, and I'm taking a look at what you guys put together as the outlook on grains and soft commodities like sugar and cocoa, what's your expand this a little bit for us?
Well, the outlook for softs is in Nigeria's favor. Sugar prices are likely to trend lower in the near term for the fourth quarter and most likely for the rest of 2018. Cocoa prices are likely to trend higher due to Ghana and Ivory Coast collaboration. For wheat, the outlook is bearish at the moment. Prices, I think there's this sense of global oversupply, so prices are likely to trend lower still. So all in all, is in Nigeria's favor. The prices of the commodities we import are trending lower. The prices of the commodities we export are trending higher. So it's in the country's favor.
Dollar is stable.
Yes,
technically speaking. Here. So, how much impact do you think this will have in imported raw food materials moving forward? Because some folks say, as stable as you get your currency, then likely your imports will continue to rise because folks believe, well, we've sorted out the FX, we can as well, we know at what, so we just keep bringing things in.
That is the case, to be honest. I think because importers are more comfortable with this exchange rate. The problem of will I be able to get my dollar to import these certain commodities is no more the case today. So I think these guys are importing more of these commodities, and that is increasing their supply, but yet we are still yet to see the impact on domestic commodity prices. So the hope is that later this year, these domestic commodity prices will trend down.
Let's go quickly back to the domestic commodity prices page. And one good news I'm seeing here is the price of a tuber of yam is below 1,000 naira. I was upset weeks ago. Now I'm looking a little bit happy. I'm feeling a little bit happy that prices have gone down to as low as 650
for a small tuber of yam. Yeah, that's very good for most. I think this is the new yam season. So yam should continue trending lower, to be honest. So there should be more reason for you to be happier in the next couple of weeks.
But then, despite, I'm looking at that page and I'm seeing sugar is still around 15,000, 16,000, 18,000, the year high of 20,000 per 50 kg. That, despite the fact that we just bring in raw materials, then Dangote and the rest of his folks process this for us. Then we have the final sugar that we use for whatever. But this looks still like very unsustainably high, double digit.
So yes, exactly. That's still very high. And the hope is that we would start producing sugar. I don't know why we can't produce sugar. We're blessed naturally in that middle belt region with sugar cane, exactly. So let's start producing sugar domestically. I think Dangote, not too long ago, it's about to construct a sugar processing plant in Niger State.
Yeah, they're still working on it.
Exactly. I
yes,
think by 2018,
they've got hectares and hectares of land there. They just signed a deal with the Niger State government to bring that through. Yeah.
By 2018, so the hope is that by that period, we'll be able to produce raw sugar, refine it, and to reflect on our domestic prices.
Well, I'm happy. When such things like that, I would have been a lot more older, and I would be eating less sugar. But for those of you who are still younger generation, I wish you folks all the best as far as that is concerned. But that's not so much on my list anyway. That's nice. It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much, Wilson.
Do enjoy your weekend. Adimo Kwesa, an economist and part of the research analyst team at Financial Derivatives Company.